Hello, everybody, and welcome to episode 21 of the AFK Hour Podcast. I'm your host, Jay Lucia, and today we have the usual suspects, Stevie Ray,
Hey, everybody.
Nabjer,
What's up?
and we have a very, very, very special guest, JessPak.
Yo! It's your girl, Jess.
What's up, Jess? Like we've seen you. Well, Stevie found you, obviously, and ever since he introduced us to your stream, we became really big fans of yours, and we love everything that you do. If you guys don't know, JessPak is a Twitch streamer. She you can find her at JessPak Twitch on Twitch, and yeah, like she plays music. She's very entertaining. She's very fun to watch.
Thanks. What a great introduction.
Just to add in, it's like we were just streaming like our normal stream, and we always try to look for people to raid, and we just randomly stumbled across JessPak's stream. I think she was streaming Fall Guys at the time. And she just was immediately raging.
Oh yeah.
We came on the stream and we were like, all right, this girl right here, she's pretty cool.
Dude, that game brought out a side of me I didn't even know lived in my soul, okay? I even surprised myself, but it just was so natural for me to be raging that it just became a part of my DNA suddenly. It's like I was born for this, you know? I was born to rage, guys.
That was definitely the reason why I started watching, because when, like Stevie said, we rated you when you're playing Fall Guys. Yeah. And I was like, okay, what she got? And she's like, you're like, God damn it, like piece of shit. I was like, oh fuck, okay, I'm in. Follow.
I'm like yelling at these guys like they're real life people. You know, they're real life. And you know what it's like? It's like we're driving on the freeway and they cut me off and I have to rage. It's like my car rage. That's what Fall Guys makes me feel like. Like I'm car raging, you know?
The saga to Jess's first win in Fall Guys was a great. That was like a great anime arc, you know, from beginning to end. It's like we saw the heartbreak, we saw the rage.
You have literally been. I think you rated me when I was like, it was the beginning of me like starting to play Fall Guys. Like I wasn't super like invested into trying to get a crown, but I think you guys were there for it when I got my first crown. It was a moment. It's my most watched clip, by the way, on my Twitch. The moment that I get my first crown is the most watched clip because I think my reaction, I even had like one of those things where you blow the thing and then it makes the party favor thing.
The party poppers.
Yeah. I literally saved it on my deck. Yeah, I literally saved it. I think like when I got the crown, I just like yelled like, oh my God, is that me? Or something like that. But it was like, you couldn't understand like what I was saying at all. Cause my voice suddenly went 8 octaves higher. And I was just like, I couldn't comprehend what was happening. And you know what's funny is I was actually prepping for that moment for so long. I told myself, you guys nobody knows this, but before I started streaming before I start stream, and like I know I'm playing Fall Guys that night, I have the little party popper thing in front of me and I look at it and I'm like, okay, if I win tonight, I'm gonna take you on. I'm gonna take it, and I'm gonna let the world know that you've been here waiting patiently for me. And then the moment I got the win, I forgot. And then at one point I remembered, and I was like, oh shoot, I gotta pull the party popper, and I did it. Yeah. But yeah, I do remember when you guys rated me, but I thought it was one person. You know, because like it is very rare. I don't think I've personally seen a Twitch channel that has multiple people rotating, but it's so cool because you guys have this like really bonded, connected friendships, and like it's so well synchronized. Like you guys synchronize really well with each other. So it's been really, really awesome, like getting to know you guys and seeing you be such an active part of, you know, the Justice League, aka my community. So just really appreciate your support. And yeah, it's weird because we were just talking about this moments ago, but it's like weird that you guys asked me to come onto this podcast because you guys, when you guys watch my podcast, you know me, like I'm very blunt and unfiltered. And I just will say I'm like a very unpredictable person. Anything can come out of my mouth and like we don't know what it will be. We don't know what she will say next. And it's scary sometimes.
I feel like this is a perfect opportunity for your fans to get to know you a little bit better. So like I guess this is a live Q&A for you.
Okay. I'm ready.
Okay, so when did you begin streaming?
So I started streaming in June, early June. I believe it was June 5th I started streaming. And I can remember that because it wasn't that long ago. So it's been a little over 4 months for me. And what's funny is I've always toyed around with the idea of streaming, but I am very nervous being on camera. I get nervous like public speaking in general. So I didn't think that I would do well like having my face on camera. But at that point, we were obviously like a few months into quarantine, and I was playing a lot of Animal Crossing New Horizons. I was playing that game so religiously. I played it throughout the day, all the way into the night, into the morning. Like I think one time I started playing at like maybe 4 p.m. on a Saturday, and I played all the way through until like 7:30 in the morning the next day. So I seriously like was so hooked. And when I look back on it now, I'm like, how and why? But anyways, I have a really good friend who when we were hanging out, I was playing Animal Crossing, and he noticed that I talked to myself a lot, which no one, if you know me, should be surprised. I was talking to myself a lot, and he was like, okay, seriously, Jess, you really need to think about starting streaming. Like, just start it. Just put a camera on, even if you don't get viewers. Like, what like, there's nothing that's gonna hurt you from like trying, right? Just like put the camera on and have fun, because you don't need. I know this about you now, but you don't need people in order for you to be entertaining and to talk. So then, yeah, I just was like, okay, you know what? I'm just gonna go for it, dude. I'm just gonna try, and if nobody wants to talk to me, it's fine, because me, myself, and I, boo, all I need is me, you know? And so I was like, okay, I'll just try it. And then once I started, like immediately the first night, I got a few viewers, and then I noticed that they kept coming back every night. And then from there, like I was grinding in the beginning. And so I was streaming I think I streamed every single day for 7 days straight. And then from then on, and those streams were about anywhere from like 3 to 5 hours. And then from then on, after I got affiliated, I started streaming 5 days a week, which is still like a lot within a week. But yeah, it's really like big ups to Animal Crossing and for taking so much of my time. And also to my friend who like really encouraged me, because it's been the best decision I have made in my entire 28 years of life, for sure.
Okay. What's the thing that you like the most about streaming?
Honestly, and this is gonna sound so cliche, but my favorite part about streaming is honestly my community. The Justice League is, I mean, like I've been streaming for a little over 4 months, and I'm so grateful to everyone who's like followed and subbed and all that. But as far as followers go, like I mean, I'm almost at 2,000, and the growth that I am experiencing, because I'm seriously a nobody. I seriously came like from like I literally had to water myself on this platform, because I don't have any connections on Twitch. I don't know people. I don't like, I'm not good friends with any streamers until now, obviously. But at that time, like I didn't know anybody. So I literally started on a blank canvas with no one to really help support me besides my friend who just knew like the general things about the platform. And like help me kind of like build the foundation from there. But you know, just in these over 4 months, like the volume of support that I've gotten and just how active my community is. Oh my God, guys, I am not even, I mean, I'm sure you guys know it too. The community is the absolute root of like me as a streamer. Without a community, just like a strong community stand behind you, like who am I as a streamer? You know, I'm just this, I suddenly just become Jess, the girl who streams, right? But with my community, I become like Jess the friend, Jess like the mentor, Jess the supporter, Jess like, you know, nurturer by nature, Jess like the big sister, you know? And that to me is probably my favorite part of streaming. I mean, you guys see me too, because you guys are in there, but I'm always engaged with my chat. Like even if I get big raids and like my chat is constantly, you know, like being pushed up, you always see me go back and read and acknowledge, and that's so important to me. So yeah, I mean, the Justice League, dude, shout out to my Justice League babies. I love you guys so much. You guys are seriously like, they are seriously, and you guys are you guys are also a part of the Justice League too. So you guys are truly like the engine that like keeps me going. So,
Yeah, it was crazy. Like when we first raised you, the other thing that happened was we all got gifted subs, and like I said, there's like 9 of us on SavePoint, and almost all of us got gifted a sub. Like,
Yeah.
Hey, did you get a sub? Yeah, I got a sub. Yeah, did you get a sub? Yeah.
I didn't know that. I didn't know all of you guys got gifted.
Yeah, all of us got gifted subs, and
Yeah.
we're
Even
like,
the channel, even our channel got
Even
gifted
the
a sub.
channel, I saw that one.
yeah,
That's
so we
funny.
gotta get to the show. But I just wanted to touch, like you said, some really cool things that, like, for smaller streamers that like they're starting out. I actually had somebody approach me today, and they said, "How do I be entertaining?" And I was like, "Well, I'm the same way as you. I talk to myself a lot when I'm playing video games, and I've always done that. And I noticed it more when I started streaming, because it was like, it's like, oh yeah, I'm gonna go do this. Okay, and then he's probably over there, so I'm gonna go do this. And that's exactly what a lot of like the higher like viewer Twitch streamers are doing. Like all they're doing is just talking to themselves, talking to chat, saying what they mean like out loud. And that's just like, for smaller streamers, I think that's the number one tip. It's like, pretend like as if you're talking to a room or a crowd full of people versus like just talking, not even just talking to yourself or talking to a wall, just talking to whoever, just talking to an audience. You know? Always pretend like one viewer is 100 viewers, because then you won't feel nervous. So.
Yeah.
That's also how you practice for your interviews, right, Stevie?
Yeah. You know, I talk to walls for that.
That's really interesting to me, because I think if you can't entertain yourself, entertaining other people is going to be extremely difficult. So before I started streaming ever, I told myself like, okay, this content is for myself. This content is to like actually practice also like being a good public speaker and being able to carry conversations, even if it's for myself, because my current job right now entails a lot of like social, like I have to socialize quite a bit. And there's moments when like my clients are not very social, right? So I have to be able to upkeep that conversation. And for me, I think it's really important to be able to entertain myself. And sometimes like, I'm so weird, because sometimes I'll talk to myself and I make myself laugh. I make myself laugh all the time, and nobody in the room will laugh with me or even at me. They're just like there. And I'm like, oh, it's fine. Like I'm okay with laughing at myself and with myself. And I think that is so pivotal as a small streamer, just any streamer really, doesn't matter the size. You have to be comfortable in your own skin, and you have to be comfortable with the acceptance that people might not like you. People might not find you funny. There's people, I mean, that won't find you funny or like you or think your content's meh or whatever, right? But as long as you are confident in your own skin, you find yourself funny, you find yourself entertaining, and you know, like it's kind of like that self-acceptance. If you have that, then you're gonna succeed. I think also, it's funny because if I don't know if you know this, but your streams actually expire, right? As an affiliate, I think they expire, and I made sure to save my very, very first stream. And I listened to like a little bit of it, and I had to stop, guys, because it was so cringy. I know myself, and I knew I wanted to be myself, but I didn't know how to do that in front of a camera, looking at myself, right? So that was really, really challenging. And then now, like a million streams later, it feels like here I am, the real me has finally come out.
Well, SavePoint like started around the same time when you started streaming, and believe it or not,
really? I
yes,
didn't know that.
June 1st.
Oh, what?
And believe it or not, Stevie wasn't part of SavePoint at the beginning.
So
like what happened was that I think like in May, at the very last week of May or 2 weeks before May ended, I just had like a struggle of like inspiration, because prior to this SavePoint, we used to do like 8 years ago. This is like a long time. We used to host gaming tournaments. And and for that, like we had our own team. We used to do like content, make videos and whatnot. And then since Corona was happening and we were all stuck and we were spending like days and days playing board games online. Yeah. That's what we were like. You may have been playing your game. What was the game? I always forget.
Animal Crossing.
Yeah, Animal Crossing. We were playing board games, just like hours and hours of playing board games. And then we're just like, why don't we just stream? Like, because like I'm also in the same boat where I say jokes and no one laughs, And the only person, there's only two people that like get my jokes, and it's probably Nick, because me and Nick, like, I don't know, he understands my jokes, and then Eddie, another person from SavePoint, and he just like, he looks at me and he's like, "You're stupid," and that's it.
Yeah, wow. I didn't know you guys started like just before me. Literally just before. It's funny because I love board games. I love gaming in general. I mean, I've been gaming for over 2 decades. I started gaming when I was 7. So it's crazy. It's crazy that all we had to do this whole freaking time, guys, was turn a camera on. You know? Yeah, but that's interesting that you guys started out. Wait, so were you guys actually like playing regular board games, or are you talking about like board games like virtually?
Like tabletop simulator.
Virtual.
Yeah,
tabletop.
Yeah. we have some games recorded that we'll probably release later on YouTube. But
I want to see that.
But yeah, it's we've been playing games for years now. Like some like these guys I forgot who invited me. I think it was either like somebody made a connect, but they started playing Overwatch a lot, and I was like really big into Overwatch at the time. So we were having a lot of game nights with that, Call of Duty, and then they approached me like a couple weeks after they got the initial idea, because they knew I used to stream. I hadn't really streamed in so long, because I used to be like on that grind, and it was taxing because I have a full-time job, and like streaming every day is just like a thing. So
I know
it's tough. So
just like I know what you mean.
Yeah. So yeah, kudos to you. Like you're like the meme in your channel is that Jess is always late. And if anyone asks, she was totally on time to this podcast today.
No, shut up! Oh my god! I know exactly who's gonna watch this and give me like shit about that. I know exactly, and I'm sure you guys know, Jack.
But because you're on that schedule, and like you said, you have that connection with your community to where it's like you put it on yourself if you don't show up. It's like I do think you're a little too hard on yourself, but still, like to each their own. Yeah,
I do feel like streamer remorse every time I have to cancel or reschedule, even though I know it's because of like my physical health, right? I do get like streamer remorse really easily. I think everybody knows that about me. I feel like when I cancel a stream, because I do feel like there is that tight-knit community like within the Justice League who is there like pretty much every night and tells me verbatim, they tell me that they're excited for my stream, and they're excited, like they've been waiting for this all day, or they had a hard day at work and this is what they're looking forward to. And I hate that I have to cancel and take that away because I'm sick. Sometimes I'm like, okay, I'm sick, but like, can I suck it up? Can I just suck it up and do it? And then I'm like, I really can't. I have to cancel. And I feel terrible. I feel like I let down the community. I really, really do. And, that is like an internal battle that I know I need to overcome. But as of right now, like still, like I still struggle with it. Like I had to recently, this past week, I just had to cancel my stream on Wednesday because like physically, like, I wasn't feeling well. And man, I just could not stop talking. Like I was with my best friend MK, and I couldn't stop talking to her about how bad I felt that I was canceling. And she's like, it's okay. Like they know you're like there all the time though. And I'm like, I know, but I'm not there tonight, So I do get that remorse from like having to cancel. But yeah, it's a grind. It's a grind for sure.
Yeah, I have a question for you.
Yeah.
As a streamer, what's the worst thing anyone has ever told you on chat or has done in chat?
I get quite a few trolls in my stream now, which is a little new for me, to be honest. But I will say, I don't want to name anything specific, but I think like things that happen or have to do with like my physical, like how I look. And like people commenting about how I look, right? Like for example, I had someone come into my stream and just like tell me that I look like a guy, and I'm like, okay, do I sound like a dude? I know I act like a dude, but do I sound like, hello, I'm a woman. and like my user, like my Twitch name is JessPak. I mean, okay, fair, like it could be Jesse the dude, Jesse version, but like I feel like no, I'm a woman, okay, and things like that, which is really interesting to me, right? I think people who come into your stream, I don't know how many trolls you guys have gotten in your streams and your chat, but which you guys can like tell me about, because I'm actually very curious. But it's interesting to see that people invest so much time into like what's that word that I want to use, like kind of just like bringing like negativity into a chat, like intentionally, because why not just use that energy that you're using to say something positive? Or if you have nothing positive to say, there's literally thousands of other streamers. Go find one that you like and you can say something positive about them, because I think what people don't realize is, these trolls don't realize, is them wasting their time and breath and energy into going into my chat to say something rude about how I look, or yeah, it's actually been more so about how I look. I was trying to think about whether it was like it had to do with like my skill, like my game skills and stuff, but no, I just get a lot of like people like who backseat game a lot, but which isn't too bad to me. But like commenting about my image, which is something like I cannot change, something that I have like worked really hard to gain confidence in, and to have someone come and like try to like break that down, I'm just like, dude, like it's tough. It's tough. It's getting better for sure, because a lot of the times my mods afterwards will reassure me a lot, like, don't pay attention to that. And actually my mods and I like will jump into a voice chat, and they'll like kind of let me vent and try to be there and like let me get my thoughts out. And then a lot of the times they reassure me that like that what they're saying isn't true. But it's sad that I sometimes feel like the need for that, because of like how toxic people can be behind a freaking computer. That is also why I'm so big and adamant about positivity and just like good vibes. I'm really, really big on that. So yeah, I think that's like quote unquote like the worst thing, is just like the way I look, because I am Korean American, and you know, I've been jabbed at for my looks a lot growing up, and I truly have learned through streaming that it's like it's inescapable. Like it's just everywhere you go, and you just have to have thick enough skin to not let it like seep through. So that is definitely something that's a work in progress right now, because I know obviously the more growth, the more trolls come through. So yeah, I'm trying to make it grow thicker. I'm watering it right now. Okay, it's being watered. The skin is being watered right now.
Yeah, I think especially in gaming, like there's a lot of trolls, a ton of trolls. Like I remember back even when we were in high school, or middle school, when we were playing Call of Duty, like back in Xbox 360, like because we're like Mexican, right? And usually they can hear our accents, and we would always get like a lot of comments on that. But yeah, like. Like we don't really see like when we were, because we're at least me and George, we come from the same town, and it's mainly like all like 99.9 or 99.5 probably all like Hispanics, specific. Mexican, and like 5% other. So like even in our hometown, you can go to a drive-through and talk Spanish first, and they'll understand it. Or they'll ask you first for the order in Spanish, and then if you don't reply, they'll go to English.
Yeah, it's strange, because if you don't reply back to them in Spanish, they look at you really weird. You're like, you know Spanish? And then
like, do you know where you live? Like, do you know where you are?
But yeah, I have to agree with Nick, because like gaming as a whole is typically very toxic, especially shooters. Shooters are very toxic.
Yes.
And like growing up, I agree with Nick that people will be like saying very racial things. Now, like, I mean, I don't really talk in game anymore because there's Discord and stuff like that. But ever since the new Call of Duty came out, there is proximity chat, and that shit's so fun to me, because I remember when I was a little kid when people would get so mad and say random shit. But like, I guess the newest insult will be like, oh, go back. Well, that's not news. We're building the wall, or I don't know why, because of Donald Trump and stuff like that. So that's what they tell us now. But back then, they'll just be like, oh, go back to Mexico. And we're like, what the heck?
Dude. Call of Duty has the most toxic players in the world. And you know what's crazy with FPS, like people who are toxic with FPS games? Fool, there was a point when you did not know how to play this game, okay? There was a point when you had to learn, and like other people were talking smack, and now you think you all that because you learned how to pick up an MP5 and shoot and aim right, and now you think you got the right to say whatever you want, even though like there are people who, there's new users playing FPS games every day, and they are all learning. Like, give me a break, okay? Like, I'm a big Call of Duty player too. I play a lot of Warzone. Not as much nowadays, but definitely I was playing a lot prior, especially when it first came out. And it's just like hearing that, even like when you kill them and just, you know how you get to hear the reaction for a split second. Man, the way they scream, how mad
it's so fun though. I love it. I live for that shit.
No, yeah, the reaction is hilarious though. Yeah, it's
as far as like toxicity in like our chat rooms and stuff like that, I know that like I haven't experienced that as much. I mean, I feel like the biggest trolls in our chat rooms are all of our friends.
Yeah.
Like you're so boring, why are you even streaming or whatever. Like they'll just say mean things, but it's like a lot of times it's like we kind of just brush it off. It's like, oh, like that's just them.
Yeah.
I feel like we haven't experienced it because I feel like it would be a whole different thing if it was coming from someone who we didn't know, which
totally.
you definitely experience a lot. So yeah, I can only imagine how that would feel, but
it's funny because I think I do get trolled constantly. I mean, you guys know because you guys are also in there trolling me sometimes, okay? Okay, you guys are in there too, but it's different because I know you guys, and I know like at the heart of it, that's not who you are. You're just having fun and we're bantering. I'm totally cool with that because everybody who knows me knows that I'm super sarcastic and I love like bantering and I love like talking smack, okay? I love not smack behind, but like talking smack to you, but you know, obviously there are boundaries that you never want to cross, but yeah, it's funny. Like, for example, I have a really good example of like my community trolling me really hard. Like, I remember I was playing Warzone one time and like I was in game and then my friend suddenly like was asking like what my community name is. And then he comes up with the term Jesticles. I don't know if you guys remember that. And then someone was like, yeah, you should call your Discord the Sack, right? If someone I didn't know came in and called me Jesticles, I would literally be like, you're banned, get out, right? But then because it was my friend and then like the whole community was just having so much fun with it, like I want my community to have a good time. And if it means that I have to like be the thick-skinned person I am when it comes to bantering and banter back, like I'm more than happy to. And you guys know I have my residential trolls within my community who are like literally it's like their first, not their second language, it's their first language, and it's like totally fine. That kind of trolling to me is like totally cool. It's when someone who doesn't know me and hasn't established trust, I don't even know their name, I don't even know if they care about my community, I don't even know what their intentions are to be here. That's when like I start having a problem, you know? And I'm sure you guys would feel the same.
Yeah.
Like I could come into your stream and talk so much smack and you guys would just laugh and have so much fun, right? But let's say I'm be like, okay, Jess, get out. This is not your stream. You can't do this here. And I'm like, okay. But like if some random person came in, you'd be like, mods, can we get a timeout, please? You know, like it's very, very different. Yeah. So you just have to establish that trust that you are here to keep this place the safe place, right? So that's really big for me.
Yeah. Me personally, I do have a problem with that. Because like if someone's shooting the piss with me, like just joking around, I assume that it's okay for me to say stuff back. Yeah. But I don't have any limits, so I just say something that might have not been appropriate, and then they get upset. So I'm just like, oh fuck. I thought we were just joking around. You started it, so I mean.
Yeah. I've definitely had that too. That just doesn't even happen in stream, right? Because that happens in real life all the time. Like, okay, you started the joking, and then now I say something, and it's actually a good joke, and now you're butthurt, and now what do you want me to do about it? Now I gotta like put my serious face on and be like, I'm sorry. You know I love you. You know.
You have to be the bigger person.
Yeah, because people are finicky, you know, like people have such like you're joking 1 second and suddenly like this switch turns on and they're completely upset and it's a total 180. So I totally feel you on that, George. Like it's tough. It's tough reading the room sometimes and reading people. And yeah, that's what I had to say about
that. Like obviously there are special cases like Nick and other people in SavePoint because we've known each other for so long.
Yeah.
I don't think there's anything I could say to Nick that will get him upset. I mean,
Totally.
I could annoy him, but I mean, he won't get really pissed off that I don't want to talk to you and blah, blah.
But are you really friends if you don't annoy each other? Just saying.
I've been telling him from day one.
Yeah.
Yeah, like I even have like my own personal saying, and I tell this to like our closest friends.
Yeah.
Blood makes you related, but loyalty makes you family.
Yeah.
And that's the thing that I always try to remind the guys, like, hey, we're family here. We got each other's back. If you need something, we're here. Anything.
Yeah, sometimes water runs thicker than blood, and I am a big advocate for that because sometimes you find family and friends, and you know, like unfortunately you were blessed to like be siblings with them, you know, but you were born into this life to like find solace and like family in other people, and it doesn't just have to be in this like bubble and like secluded with or isolated within this certain bubble of just being someone who's like literally blood related to you. Because I know plenty of people, and I'm sure you guys do too, you know, where family isn't exactly like family. Like I've seen that in so many people, or going through like suffering through that like story, but then they find like a best friend. For example, like my best friend, I don't have a sister. I have a brother who's 11 years older than me. And I will say that my best friend MK is like the sister that I never knew I needed, and a sister like a part of me has always wanted, right? And she's like blood to me, like, you know, and I would take a bullet for her. She's my ride and die. I would literally do anything for her. And the fact that I can say that, it's like that realization is like, okay, yeah, like family, like blood isn't everything. It's not always like the core. So I totally agree with you there. You know, it is like the loyalty that is so, so, so important, because the loyalty that like our community, like my community has and your community has with you and me as a streamer and as streamers, you know, that already makes us family. Like I truly feel like the Justice League is like my second family, and I would literally like drop anything and do anything to make sure that anybody in my community in the league is okay and safe and feels protected and seen and acknowledged and heard. And that's like really, really important to me. For sure.
Yeah, that's one of the really, really cool things that I've seen. Like you have your sub only Discord, and like with that tight knit community, you know, and like you have this like the safe space in there, you know, where people can just like vent and chat, and you know, like people they really just let it out, and sometimes you need that. Like I know I've needed that. Like I had never seen. I've been like part of streams and discords for a long time. I had never seen like such a tight-knit community where people were so comfortable to share that stuff like that. So it's really like it's a really cool thing to see. And honestly it makes like me open up more, and then also like want to replicate that with our community. Like if people like there's so many of us, but it's like like if people want to like need to reach out, like our DMs are always open. We're always like here to chat. But yeah, like I've always admired that, and I think that it's really something really awesome as part of your community.
Yeah, it's one of my favorite things on my Discord, because it really is a place to be vulnerable. And there's a book that I read a long time ago by Brene Brown, and it's a lot about vulnerability, and like the core message is like vulnerability is courageous. And people think that being vulnerable just makes you too susceptible to getting hurt and too susceptible to getting rejected and neglected. And I think the Safe Place, which is a channel in my Discord for literally mental health talk, and like I've just like grown up feeling I felt the loneliness, you know, in life, and I strive to make the community a place where no one has to feel alone, because sometimes it takes one kind message, it takes one moment of choosing to reciprocate and show love and show like acknowledgement and let the person know that they are heard and they are seen. It makes all the difference. It can literally save a life. It can literally save a life, and which sounds really heavy, right? Because sometimes people, all it takes is even just a virtual connection, and it's so life-changing. And I have gotten a lot of DMs about how people are so grateful that I've created this space for them, and it's like a wave that I want to make, because there's never going to be a time as a streamer for me, whether I grow or whether I stay where I'm at, it doesn't matter like where I'm taken in my streaming life. My community is always going to come first, and the mental health and making sure they're all okay is always going to be first. And I will always take the time to make sure that people feel that way, no matter where streaming takes me. Even if I'm not streaming let's say one day I decide to quit, I would still want to keep my community, like whoever wants to be a part of it, and just keep that wave going. Because it only starts with if I see someone being a really positive influence in someone else's life and being a really big advocate for mental health, and not just saying they're an advocate, but really showing action behind that, then it might inspire them to do that for somebody else. And then it just becomes this like amazing positive ripple effect, and like it's life-changing, right? Got really deep there, but yeah,
No,
mental health
makes
is like a
sense.
really, really big thing in my community. Yeah.
I mean, especially today, like in today's climate, with Corona and stuff like that, people have been locked in for so many years. And the thing that it makes it so alarming is that people that are manic, like this is like the worst thing that could ever happen to them, because they're stuck in one place. They're not allowed to go out. They can't interact with people. So you giving that opportunity, or streamers in general, giving the opportunity that these people need to relieve themselves with talking and express themselves, is just something that, I mean, has to happen in order to like prevent horrible things, like you said. Like, but it's been rough on literally everybody, like these couple of months, like since March or whenever. It's just it's been rough.
Yeah, even since like March, and like now we're almost into November. I mean, insane that we have spent literally like 80% of the year in quarantine. Nobody knows what to do, and nobody knows what to feel, even after all this time. Even if you think you've become acclimated, just spend like 10 minutes in your thoughts alone, and you will realize that you don't know what to do with yourself, because people like to be connected. And I think even introverts, like people who are used to being homebodies, are realizing that that they actually don't like being alone as much as they thought. Because surprisingly, I'm actually a little bit of both. I'm way heavier on the extroverted scale, but I am also, there's moments of that I have as an introvert too. Like there are days where I feel so mentally and emotionally exhausted, I just want to stay home. But nowadays, like in quarantine, I just find myself wanting connection constantly. And I think even introverts are like, my best friend's an introvert, and she's even like, dude, I'm going stir crazy, just like being home all the time, working from home all the time, seeing the four same walls all the time, talking to nobody but myself all the time. And yeah, it is really difficult. And I think like people who didn't even realize there were mental health challenges that they needed to overcome are all starting to surface. And I think my community, and I would hope any community for any streamer, really invites, for that challenge to be heard and seen and acknowledged and addressed. And hopefully like I can say and do something that can be of help. That's all I want to do. Honestly, all I want to do is help. And that is so important, because I think, as someone who has constantly been struggling with mental health, and it's been a journey. It's been a journey since I was a little girl. It has been really difficult. It's just been a really difficult journey. So I really want to pass like that message. Like, I know what it's like to be alone, and I don't want you to ever feel alone. That's like really, really important to me. And I emphasize that a lot in my streams, because you guys know I can get a little sentimental in my streams a lot, and go on a tangent for forever, which I'm doing right now. But it's important. Everything I say is so important, because I think people just, even when I say things like this, people are like, wow, I didn't know I needed to hear that. And that's like when it strikes a bell like that, and it strikes at their heart like that, that's when I'm like, yes, like this is what I live for,
Yeah.
To be heard.
I see you guys and I hear you guys, okay?
Yeah, I think like, even, I don't know if you else, I see a lot of memes, like, because I watch a lot of anime, and I'm like subtle anime Facebook group, and a lot of people are like, you can't go outside everybody else, and then there's like weebs I've been living for this moment. But even I look at that and I'm like I personally usually don't go outside, but I do love to go and hang out with people a lot.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I recently did the move, or I guess in March, seems like forever now. But
Yeah.
I used to live in California. I used Northern California and San Francisco.
Mhm.
And then when this whole thing started, I already wanted to actually come back to Texas, so I moved back and I moved to Austin. But I ended up going into a 1-bedroom apartment by myself. And personally, I was so I'm starting my own startup and I'm working from home all the time, right? So I have like me and my co-founder, pretty much the other people I talk to for work, and then I like talk to the guys and everybody else at SavePoint and through the streams and everything. But I found like I didn't really like being by myself, and I already knew that I didn't like being myself. But now that I couldn't even go out and meet people or like talk to people, so like currently, like this is not technically my bedroom. This is like my sister's bedroom. But I'm at home right now just because I was like I felt better at least being with my family around me. Because living by myself for me was like pretty hard, especially because I just want to talk to somebody. Like you know how they say like humans are social animals, and like for me it was a pretty big thing. But yeah,
I think what you guys have is actually really, really special. Like I know you guys have a lot of people, but I think it's really something unique and special because coming out of your streams, if you like, you guys are all synchronized, you guys are all on the same page with each other, that whenever you go through like a mental like struggle or a blockade with your stream or as a content creator or as content creators, then you guys like have each other to like fall back on. You know, for me, I'm like solo, I'm a one team gal, you know, like excluding my community, of course, but there are things that I know that I can't like talk to my community about and things that I have to tackle on my own. And that's really difficult. So, you know, when I first found out that you guys were, you know, a bunch of streamers, you know, and like have all these friendships, like longtime friendships with each other, I was literally like, oh my God, that must be like incredible. I have no idea how their schedule works out. I have no idea how they rotate that in, but it's like incredible that they like all are going through the same journey. You guys are literally growing. If your stream is growing, like you guys are all growing at that pace, you know, like the growth is like all like comprehensively as one. It's like you guys are one whole unit. You know, so that's like really, really special to me to see, because when you guys do go through like any mental health issues, like you guys have each other and you guys know exactly what's going on because you guys are in the same like, you know, streaming profile. That's really neat to me.
When we first talked about this, like I know one of my goals and was always to like bring that kind of that couch vibe where it's like you're on the couch with your friends playing a video game, and like if you come to our streams, it's like it's never usually one person that's playing the game. It's always like all of us, but one person's on camera. But and it's really just like because like we live off of that banter and like just playing those games with each other, having those moments with each other. And I think that's what a lot of people have been missing lately. So we really wanted to kind of like be able to interact with our community, like a lot of games that have came out, like Among Us. We've playing like Jackbox, just games that you can play with others that like you either know or you don't know, and then like all have fun together. And in this time when we can't all hang out, you know. I
know. It has been nice. I think games like even Phasmophobia and Among Us and Party Animals and Pummel Party and Tabletop Simulator, all these co-op games have really also strengthened a lot of my bonds with, you know, people in the community, people in Justice League. So it's been pretty cool to see that, because a lot of them are so grateful. Some of them will have even DM'd me and been like, dude, like I just haven't had a friend to play with in so long. It was really nice to be able to play with so many people. Like, you know, we are, as content creators, you know, we are really creating something special like for people, you know, and I think that gets overlooked a lot. But sometimes I sit there and I realize like, dang, I'm like proud of myself for having stepped out of my comfort zone and pursuing this and feeling and giving people like, you know, like a temple to like feel safe in. Yeah, it's really big for me.
The thing that I was going to talk about was that you briefly mentioned it, but whenever I do enter your channel, you're so open and you talk about your own a little
sometimes.
But yeah, you talk about like your own personal experience, like depression and anxiety and stuff like that.
Yes.
How do you deal with that kind of stuff, like depression and anxiety and streaming all together in one package? I know that you may have like a support system, but there has to be some some people have more stuff than that. Like they do like some type of ritual, or not like ritual, like they wake up, they like the shower and stuff like that and go to work and stuff like that. But what do you do to get out of the funk?
Good question. So I think for me, gaming is actually a really big outlet, and not just gaming on stream and gaming with people. I game just on my own a lot too. Gaming is a big stress reliever for me. But yes, if I'm being transparent here, which I always am, I was diagnosed with depression at a very young age, and I was also diagnosed with anxiety at a very, very young age, like, by a doctor. It wasn't like a self-diagnosis, but by a doctor, just like all my symptoms and the things that I've gone through, and, just even like seeing the therapist that I saw when I was younger. And it's still an ongoing journey. I think depression and anxiety are one of those shadows that just kind of loom over you for a really, really long time. And there are moments where you think you have shaken it off, and you realize very much like it has not shaken off. It is still very much attached and clung on to you. And I think for me, to be honest, the biggest thing for me is streaming. And I'm not just saying that for the sake of saying it. Streaming, I've talked about this on my stream before, but streaming has truly saved my life. On my stream, I don't know if you guys were there, but there was a stream that I had where I visibly had a panic attack on stream, like on camera. And sometimes when you go through anxiety, which develops into like a really big panic attack, because suddenly like I felt out of breath, like there's loud noises in my head, and like I can't like fathom what's going on. I'm like not properly mentally functioning, and like not comprehending like situations and like the environment around me. It was really, really difficult, but that moment changed my life for the best, like in the best possible way, because anxiety and depression are very, very lonely and isolated journeys, because nobody really understands what you're going through better than yourself. But even that, like, I don't even fully understand myself at its best through all that. So like going through that journey. And when I had my panic attack on my stream, which again, not intentional at all, because why would I ever want to intentionally publicly have a panic attack in front of like a lot of people, and also having a VOD out there that exists that people can like rewatch. It's obviously a very, very vulnerable moment for me. And dude, the community literally came to my rescue. There was it was nonstop. It was just constant messages telling me to breathe, giving me affirmations and giving me validation as a human being and trying to calm me. And I was like literally breaking out in tears, and I was losing myself. And I think everybody was seeing it like, wow, like this is panic, like this is anxiety, raw, like in front of us right now, and like we need to help her. And man, that moment was really life-changing, because that moment made me realize like, wow, it's not as isolated and lonely as I have thought for so many years of my life. And my depression and my anxiety are rooted in my family, right? Because a lot of people in my community know this, but I lost my dad 6 years ago, and prior to that, my dad was diagnosed with oral cancer when I was 10 years old, and he passed away when I was 22. So for 12 years, for a good amount of it, for 4 years collectively, but because 8 years my dad was in remission, But, at a very young age, I had to sacrifice really like lots of my childhood, and I was depressed without really knowing what depression was. Depression and mental health is just a big taboo in Asian culture in general. And, I don't know how it is in like Mexican culture and like how big of a taboo it is or isn't. So you guys can definitely speak to that more because I don't know personally. But in Asian culture, I can vouch that, Asian parents will brush it off because they think it's all like in your head. But if it was in my head, trust me, I could control it much, much better, and I would feel like I would have a reign on it. But so it's been a really long journey, right? Because it started when I was about 10, because prior to that, life was great. But, when my dad got sick and I had to learn what cancer was and all these things, and then my dad relapsing right when I started college into lung cancer, and then, watching my dad lose his life right before my eyes from the beginning to the end within that day span that it happened, it's really been mentally traumatizing for me. So it is an ongoing journey of me trying to overcome this, but honestly, I don't know if I will ever truly fully overcome it. But what I try to strive to do is have more better days than days that like I feel like self-loathing and like defeated, right? So yeah, it's not that I really do much. It's that I have met really amazing people on this platform who have really lifted me up in my darkest of times. And anytime I have a bad day, anytime I'm going through anything, I talk about it on my stream all the time, and everyone's there to like give me reassurance. But I'm there for them too. Like it's definitely like reciprocated, and like I feel like me and the community meet each other halfway in that. So yeah, I know it sounds really cliche as a streamer to say like it's streaming that's that really alleviates a lot of my depression and anxiety, but it is very factual because I don't know what I would be or where I would be if I didn't start streaming. Because especially with quarantine, I feel like my mental health journey has gotten even more difficult being in such isolation, because I do live alone. I live alone in LA, and it is really isolating because I'm confined within these four walls, just me, myself, and I 24/7, guys. And it's really, really tough. And, streaming just came in at such a perfect time. It like swooped me up, and I would say like it's definitely Justice League, which you guys are a part of, George, Nick, and Stevie, you guys are a part of that community. And, I am so grateful to you guys for being a part of that, because you guys are part of the community that has like really saved my life. So thank you so much. I love you guys so much. So thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, we appreciate you as well. And like just to your point, like I know for myself, like I've dealt with anxiety a lot. It's like and it's weird because I actually have enjoyed this time. I don't know why. My anxiety would always flare up like on my drives like to and back from work. So I don't know what it is. Just I always would get anxiety flare ups where it's like when I'm driving and things like that. But yeah, like I would look forward every day before quarantine just to like get home and go play games. Because it's like I turn my brain off and it's like I don't even care if like I'm raging or like like just like
rage
I'm
it
playing
out,
whatever game. Like
rage it
it's
out.
Like you can rage out, it's like I'm in my room just like yelling at some 14-year-old kid who can't heal me, and I'm calling them trash, and I'm being toxic, sometimes out loud, sometimes internally, but either way, like it's healthy. I feel sometimes
it is
like, because
let it
it's
out.
like all those frustrations that you had in your day to day, like people say like gaming, like that you're lazy, you're a potato, like you don't do anything, like and even more so now, like literally I work from home on this exact desk, and then at 5 o'clock I switch my monitor to another input, and I start playing games.
Oh my god.
But like it just feels so good just to be able to like let it out. And I think it's really important, like no matter like what, to always just have that outlet. And for me, gaming is that outlet, and I know for a lot of us, gaming is that outlet.
Yeah, you know, it's a really good analogy for that I just thought of is when you're at work or school or whatever, you know, stressful thing you're doing throughout the day, it's like you're holding your breath the whole time. And then the moment you get home and you find solace in gaming or whatever it is, that's the exhale that you've been needing all day. And that makes you yell at 14-year-old kids, you know? But yeah, you know, that's how I think of it. I feel like when I'm working, because you know I work a full-time job. You know, I work at IGN on the sales side, and I feel like the whole day I'm just holding my breath. You know, and the moment it hits 6 p.m., like exhale a little bit, and then once it hits like 8 to 9, whenever I decide to start, because I can't start on time to save my life, that's like the biggest exhale that like relieves me of every tension possible throughout the day. You know. But yeah, kind of like going back to like my ask, like, you know, in the Mexican culture, like, is mental health also like a taboo? Like, I'm actually really, really curious about that because I don't know if like, because I know Mexican families are really big on families. They're very, very like super family oriented. So in my mind, I imagine that, you know, if like Nick, you go to your mom or your dad or your sister and you talk about like you're struggling with anxiety, I would imagine they're just like so open-hearted about it to like really help you because of that family orientation. Like that's what I think, you know, but correct me if I'm wrong or tell me I'm right. You know, every family is also different, but there's always that like generic kind of cultural norm. And I would say like for Asians, the general like norm is like mental health is just a really big taboo topic, and it's just not taken very, very seriously.
Do you want to start, George? Do you want me to
Oh,
start?
do you want me to speak? I mean, I have so much to say about this, but
I feel like you've been waiting for this, so that's why I was letting you do it.
No. First, I want you to say yours. I want you to say yours, and I'll say mine, because mine's gonna go on a tangent.
Okay,
mine's not. So, I guess I'm not to put anybody down. Like personally, I don't have a ton of experience with this specific topics. The only thing is like, I think a little bit of anxiety is what started happening like for me when I moved here.
Yeah.
Apparently, they told me I like passed out at my apartment. They told me
that I didn't know this.
That it was I forget what it was called, but it was anxiety for Corona, something like that. Like because they like I thought I had Corona, and then it made me like actually pass out, and I don't know. So since that day, it was hard to sleep and stuff. And then slowly, like they told me, like, yeah, you're just having anxiety, and like I had never had anything like this before. So I was like, well, one, I'm not gonna stay in my apartment by myself because what if I pass out again? So I was like, I came back over here, and then like personally, I was just like, well, my parents were also like, my parents, which I feel like that's what George's gonna say, but I don't know. They were like, like everything's fine, it's all in your mind. And I don't know if that's how all Mexican parents are, but like a lot of the times whenever we're sick, that's what they also tell us. Yeah, like I was like, well, before I was fine. I don't think this is fine because
I see.
It makes no sense.
Yeah.
But essentially, I just started working, like, because I had stopped kind of working out. So personally, I started like doing meditation, which is like like meditation and like exercising more and stuff. Because before I would go to the gym, like daily, kind of. Also in San Francisco, like you kind of walk everywhere, so you're doing exercises like or exercising because you need to, not because you even want to.
Facts. Yeah.
But I would walk from and to work, and like pretty much everywhere we go, you just walk, or you take like public transportation, etc., which always involves some sort of walking. But I'd still go to the gym and stuff. But when I came to Austin, well, like it's Corona, you can't. Like now, I guess some gyms are open. But also like, do I really feel comfortable going? No.
Yeah.
So like I'd started like doing some exercises for myself in my house or wherever I was, and going through walks and stuff like that, and that's pretty much been helping me. But I guess that's all I personally have. But I feel like George has a lot more to say about this.
Hit me with the George.
I was like, before George goes, it's like I just wanted to touch on something Nick said. Is that like exactly what he said about Mexican households? Like nobody is ever sick or sick enough to go to the doctor. So nobody goes to the doctor. If you're really sick, they take you to Mexico, and then they get you.
Oh my God.
They get you, or like they take you to the doctor over there, because then it's really bad.
Yeah.
But
it's a lot cheaper.
As long as it's a lot cheaper there too.
But I know that my grandma, when I was sick at her house, it's like, oh, I'm like laying down in bed, like I feel like I'm dying, like I literally never got like a antibiotic. It was always like she just gave me like a chamomile tea with some lemon and Vicks. That's it. Just rub Vicks in my chest, and then I would just be
Vicks
laid
fixes
out.
everything, according to my
laid out for
Yeah,
everything.
Vicks fixes everything.
Interesting. This is like shedding a lot of light for me, because like because I know Mexicans. I have Mexican friends, obviously, and like they're very family oriented, but I just didn't realize that it was like kind of brushed off in the same way that like it is in Asian culture. So it's like really interesting to hear that.
So yeah, from my own personal experience and talking to several people, they all say relatively the same thing, that Hispanic families just brush it off as well. They don't really. It's just like if someone's sad or depressed, you're just like, oh, they're going through a phase. They'll get out of it. Rather than helping them and for seeking help, they're just like, oh, just wait it out. And then a week passes and you're like, are you good now? And stuff like that, right?
Yeah.
But that's how people relatively are in Hispanic families. And I agree with Stevie that even if you break a bone, they'll be like, rub some dirt on it and it'll be better and stuff like that. Because they don't really. They're just like it's like especially if you're a male, it's like more of a machismo. Like you have to be more stronger. You have to be stronger, and you have to provide for your family, stuff like that. So they have to train. They're training their kids to be like that.
Oh my God. Okay.
I don't come from a very traditional Hispanic family. I was raised by my mom, my aunt, and my grandmother. So like the way I see it,
a powerful woman right there.
Yeah, I was raised by like 3 moms, and whenever I did something, I had to ask my mom, and then my aunt, and then my grandma. And if any of them said no, then I can't do it.
Yeah.
So I had a very strict upbringing, and like growing up, it was different, and like I was very anxious as a little kid, and even now I'm still really anxious. I even got diagnosed like probably like 5 years with anxiety. And it's just interesting. But there was a time in my life where I got really depressed. I wasn't doing too good in school. I recently broke up with my girlfriend at that time, and something happened with my dad, and I just got really sad. But the thing that like really tore me was that when I was talking to my grandmother about it, she just told me that when she passes away, I'm gonna be alone. So like she told me that. And I was just like, wait, is that true? So like, I secluded myself from everybody, like from Nick, from like a lot of people from SavePoint, because they're still my friends back then. And I just didn't want to talk to anyone, and I just need to reflect, right?
Yeah.
And, like, this is how I had to process things, because I need to go through it by myself.
Right,
and like I need to get over it by myself. Like I didn't want anyone to help me. I didn't want people to support me or whatever. I just needed to do it myself. Like I don't know how to explain it, but this is my own personal journey.
Yeah. That's interesting. Like words are so powerful, right? And I don't think that people realize how much trauma like words can be, and how much it can be a trigger. You know, I'm in a very similar situation with you, George, where I've also talked about this on my stream because I almost got another panic attack, a second one, not that long ago. I think it was this week or last week. And luckily I got a raid in the middle of it, and it like completely distracted me. So that saved me. Again, streaming saves a day. But something that I talked about is how when I was younger, I was told that everything I touch breaks. And
exactly. No, that's what my family told me too. And like they even gave it a word or a phrase for me. They told me that I have manos de lumbre. So basically it just means that everything I touch, I break.
Yeah.
So like that's something they told me growing
Right.
up.
And you know what's crazy is that was because of materialistic things. And for some reason, to me, it translated into just everything. That's like, anything that's not materialistic, like friendships, relationships. So being told that at a very young age and then being told it again when I was an adult, oh my God, it just, when I was, being told that as an adult again, it struck me much harder. I remember it distinctly when I was told that as an adult. I was living alone in a different location. It's still in LA, but a different apartment in a different studio. And I remember sitting in my parking lot in my car, and it was raining, and I was just bawling because it struck me like much differently than it did as a kid. And I didn't realize that those words were something that I was hanging on to for so long, which is why anytime I started finding myself really investing into a friendship or a relationship, I found myself getting really scared, because now my touch, emotionally and mentally, that my touch is starting to like get deeper, right? And I was scared that I was going to break it. And I think that still lives with me today. Sometimes I'm still very afraid that I am becoming so attached and invested into being a content creator and a streamer and to Justice League, that I am so afraid that the touch is getting so much deeper, the mental emotional touch is getting so much deeper, that I'm afraid of it falling apart. It's actually like a daily fear of mine, because I'm like, anything can happen in a given day. And I'm just so scared I'm going to wake up the next day and it's all going to be gone because I touched it and it broke, So man, George, when you said that like really resonated with me, because I feel like that is something that people don't realize, even in our family, don't realize that gets carried on to our adulthood, our adult lives. And it's crazy because like in the moment, they never think about how much it can affect us in a negative way. Right. So yeah, that's really a really tough pill to swallow, for sure. But yeah, dude, mental health, man. It is such a tough, deep, intense topic, because everybody is you can act like you are the happiest person, but if you are the happiest person, there is something that you are masking. I think everybody, everybody has some depression and anxiety rooted in them. But for some people, like, many of us, including myself, it's just more on the surface, like more above the surface than it is beneath it. And yeah, it's interesting to also hear all of the stories within Justice League and like them telling me and opening up, like not just me but to each other, because sometimes I'm just like, you're so fixated on your own mental health journey that you don't realize that a bunch of other people are actually going through this, not the same exact thing, but the same exact feeling, right? Because at its core, like anxiety and depression trigger the same kind of emotions. It's just the actual trigger is a different story for each person.
Yeah.
So it's been really interesting to see like that diversity in people.
Yeah, like growing up, I always had like a really negative like attitude towards depression and stuff like that, because like that's just how I was raised. And like people around me were, like you said, it was very taboo, even in Hispanic culture. And it wasn't until like I went through my own experience, and then I started to realize that, oh wait, this is a real issue that not a lot of people want to talk about. But I feel like in order to help them, or for them to progress in their life, they need to address it like full on, and not be afraid to talk about it with people that sincerely care about them and sincerely want them to help. And even though like I totally understand that when you're trying to help somebody that is depressed, they may not see it as help, and they may see it as like, oh, you're annoying me, blah blah blah. It doesn't like, and they may even say something very hurtful to you to make you go away. But the thing I always remember is that like they don't mean it, and they want, like, even though they don't want it right now, they might want it tomorrow or the day after. So you just have to continue at it and at it and at it until one day they're gonna let you in, and you guys can have a conversation and talk about your own personal experience to make them feel more comfortable, and then they could open up about their own. But yeah,
that is so important. So I think like, I can tell you guys are like this too, but like for me, I always have an open invitation for to be real, because I think what has made mental health such a taboo of a topic is that people are so afraid of rejection. They are so afraid of judgment, because it is really easy to judge when you don't have the full context. And sometimes when you think you've given the full context, there are gaps that you have left out, and like the gaps that are still there that don't fully paint the picture. Like I can tell you my life story right now, like about my dad, but there are so many, it's like a puzzle, right? There's so many pieces that are still missing. You might have like the general sense of what the picture is, but there are those little nuggets just missing from completing the puzzle. And I think that's what's been also hard to like, that's what also makes people like have a difficult time opening up, because they know there's going to be gaps and they don't know how to like explain those gaps and explain and give that context. But yeah, it's tricky. It's tricky to, it's definitely tricky to talk about mental health, because you don't want to overstep, and you don't want to step on the wrong, like you don't want to like, it's kind of like walking on thin ice, and you don't want to take that step that breaks it, because then that can discourage the vulnerability, and I don't want to do that. So a lot of the times when I get DMs, or when I see Slacks is my worst thing. When I see Discord messages in the channel, I think about, I have to really digest it, which is why a lot of people will notice that I don't respond right away, because at first I type a lot of things. I'm like, no. I need to give it more time. I actually need to digest like what they are saying and what they are opening about. And then like without any like riled up like initial emotions about it, because when people tell me that someone said this about them and that about them, I'm mad. Okay, if it's negative, I'm mad, and I'm like, I feel like I gotta be really defensive and I gotta protect that person, and then I start typing like, you know what, F that person and blah 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 blah, right? But that's like the hype response. Like you want to be like the hype girl, like the hype wingman, and like give them that. But at the end of the day, like that's not what's gonna resolve the situation. So I think a lot, like really methodically and thoroughly, because I need to make sure that my reactions and my responses are very calm, So mental health.
Sorry, go ahead, Steve.
No, it's like I just relate to that a lot, like especially with work and stuff. Like I've definitely had my mental health affect my work life. To where,
same.
But it's like I remember there was a time like early in my career where I was late to work almost every day for like a month.
Oh my god!
To the point where it's like every other day, not every day, but it was like,
but just like a lot.
But it was like a couple minutes late, and it was like, and to me it wasn't a big deal, like because I had never been told it was a big deal. But also like the main reason why I was late was because it's like I was going through some things like outside of work, and it's like you're not right to, it's like you're not about to tell like your boss, it's like, hey, I was dealing with some stuff at home, and I don't want to, like, that's why I was late. It's like it just seems like excuses after excuses after excuses.
Yeah.
You don't want to be judged, and like that doesn't like I hate being judged. It's like I just want. Like I want you to understand, and like I do it all the time. And me and George butt heads because we do the same thing where we try to explain each other exactly what we're thinking, and so that we understand. I'm like, no, you don't understand. It's like, no, you don't understand. But but it happens all the time. But it's like just being able to like I learned, like I feel like I've grown so much in the past like five years where like just calm it, like you said, like think of things with a calm head, because I know for a fact I was that person to where I would read something and then reply with my first instinct, because I also love improv and stand-up comedy, and so I used to watch so much of that. So to me it's like oh, joke, counter joke, like or something like that. Like I always have to be the first to respond, and then I wonder why they don't respond back to me. like right away.
Yeah.
It's like I just responded back to you in like 2 seconds, and then you're taking forever. It's because they're thinking, and I'm not.
Yeah. I feel like a lot of people in Discord think I'm ignoring them or not reading, but no, it's actually me like fully trying to digest and comprehend, because it's really easy for people and for us to be like reactionary. It is really, really, really easy to be that way. So I try really hard not to be reactionary. I want to think thoroughly because communication is so important to me, not just in a relationship, but not just in a relationship that's intimate, but just like, you know, in all relationships, family, friendship, and intimacy and workplace, you know. So I try really hard not to be reactionary. And, you know, at the end of the day, we all want to be understood, and we all want to love and be loved. And it's crazy how these concepts seemingly on paper seem so simple, but it is the hardest thing to achieve in life. Like I am realizing that the older, because I'm 28, and like the older I become, the more I realize like, wow, these attributes are really difficult to obtain, you know, even if the concept is so simple, right? So yeah, it's hard.
Yeah, I know like this is a small thing on what you guys were saying, like how one word matters. I know like back when I was in middle school, and I think like Bebo was the thing. I don't know if you guys remember that time.
I remember Bebo.
But
Bebo, the anime?
No, Bebo it was kind of like MySpace.
I do not
think
remember that.
No, we had Student Connection. I think I don't remember.
I don't remember that. What was that?
That was before MySpace.
What the heck? There was something before MySpace? I didn't even know that.
That was Bebo though. Bebo was before MySpace, and I had Nick as a friend there too.
Oh, sure.
Like I remember in Bebo, it was really random, but I would just talk to a lot of people online, right? I guess back in the day, like I would talk to more people online just randomly. Because that's like I would use like anime characters on my screen, and just talk to people like, oh, you're this anime character, whatever. But people would randomly text me, like randomly, like people I would talk to randomly message me like, oh, I'm feeling really sad today, and like I would like have to like I'd essentially just try to make him like feel comfortable and stuff like that. And I always try to read the conversation and really think about like, okay, yes, sure, they're saying this, but like, does that really mean what they're saying? Or like with the context that you heard from before, like what's going on, and try to say something that's good. Of course, I always try that, and sometimes things you might slip up, and you might end up just going and replying fast. But I don't know, since then I've always like looked at the person and all these things, because a lot of people would reach out to me and tell me like how they were feeling. I have to be like, no, you're good. You you have to like, because a lot of people would be like, oh, I'm gonna like kill myself and stuff like that. And I'd like have to talk to them and like make them feel better, and tell them like there's still a lot to be looking forward to and all of those things. And I don't know, to me, I guess at that time it was a little weird once, but it felt like normal, even though I guess like like when a little kid, they tell you like, don't talk to anybody online or people you don't know. But I was just talking to everybody and just trying to like make sure everybody was fine. And I don't know, I guess that's why like since then I always like try to see how, because everybody, like you said, we're all very different. And even though you might have like anxiety or depression or etc., it's always very different with every person. Everybody reacts differently in all scenarios. Every word you say, like even if you say hi, that could be taken in a lot of different connotations. And even more when you're texting and you're not actually saying it.
The texting, damn it.
But I don't know, it just made me think of like those times a lot of those things happened, and just trying to help people go through this, and reading everything always, because you really never know what's going on in other people's like worlds and families and minds.
One of the most like cliche things that I can say, but it rings so true, is that everybody is going, like, be kind because everybody is going through a battle that you just don't know about. Something like that, right? Not verbatim. That's not verbatim, but it's something like, the likes of. And it's really important to be kind. I'm such a big advocate for that, because to me, words can really prison you. It can prison your mind. It can imprison your mind, and it can lead people to making really dark decisions in how to go about life and like the next steps for that. And I'm just a really big advocate for being kind, because, you know, even if they, you know, I feel like if people are mean, man, they must be going through something, and the outlet is to be cruel to others, because I want to believe that people are inherently good. I believe that we are all born good. It's just that there are people who make bad decisions that can permanently or for a really long term like affect how a person can live. Because the person who told me that everything I touch breaks, I know he's a good person, but he just chose in that moment to say something that was so negative and triggering and traumatizing for me as a kid and even as an adult. But I know that he is good. You know, I know that this person is a good person. You know, it just so happened that I was on the unfortunate end of having had to receive those words. And now those words have like imprisoned me and have really been rooted into like, you know, when I'm going through like my depression episode where I'm just like feeling really sunken and the world just looks black and white, those words keep ringing and replaying in my head. But who would have known that that would be the thing that hurts me so much, right? Like, we just don't know. So that's why being reactionary is, you know, like trying not to be reactionary is so important, because you have to understand that words, every single word you say has weight, whether it's good weight or whether it's bad weight. And so I'm just really big on being very methodical and careful in what I'm saying. But I will say that we're all also human and we're all prone to error and we make mistakes all the time. And shoot, I freaking slipped and I didn't mean to say that. I've been in so many of those situations. But there is a window of opportunity with, you know, with mistakes. There's always a window of opportunity for you to pick it back up and like try to reprimand as quickly as possible. But if you don't take that window right then and there, that person is going to take those words and it will ring true to them in their mind and hearts and souls for forever almost, you know? So it is really important to be kind and to try to, for me, to be kind and to be positive. And sometimes it's a freaking challenge, okay? It's a freaking challenge because people are ruthless and people can be cruel and make cruel decisions with their words and actions. And I live through that all the time, you know, especially with like Corona and being Asian and, you know, people saying like this is stemmed from like, you know, in Asia. And then I get like immediately correlated to that. And there's so much negativity around that I have to try to be kind and positive as much as I possibly can to break through that. Otherwise I will suffocate in that. So yeah, being kind is just, it's again, simple concept, but really hard to do. Especially when you want to be selfish, right? If someone hurts you, you want to be selfish and you want to rebuttal and you want to be defensive because who's going to protect you if not you, you know? And so, to me, that's why like I try to be kind and think things through, because it really is easy to fall into the hole of making the other person feel bad as they made you feel. And I try not to do that. Like I try really, really hard not to do that.
Yeah, I think we all do.
Yeah. We're all trying, you know?
Yeah, we're
all trying, guys. We're all trying.
We're all human.
Well, like, so that's like 2020 motto. We're all trying here. Yeah. So
like the person that's like new, like the newer person in the group is Darlena, Squeaky Toad. And I've known her for like 3 years, but she recently met everyone else, right? Mm-hmm. And she's very shy and she does struggle with mental health issues as well, like all of us, right? Mm-hmm. And I'm trying to get her comfortable enough to open up to the rest of the guys, because like I tell her all the time, like she's part of the family. Like she's like, just even though you may not know them as much as I do, like you should feel like you know them for like as long as you knew me, because like they're part of me in like, so like we're all a huge family. Yeah. And like, I always tease her because I spent New Year's with her, and in a Mexican tradition is to eat grapes, right? Mm-hmm. You have to eat 12 grapes for each month of the year. And
Did not know that. Okay.
Yeah, 12 grapes.
I love that though. Mm-hmm.
And you make a wish.
Yeah, you make a wish. And then, like, I got really shit faced on New Year's, so I just ate mine. I was just like, I ate all mine real quick. I'm sorry. And what's it called? She ate like 4, and she's like, I don't want them anymore. And I was me being drunk. I'm like, give me your grapes. And then,
you ate her wish? You animal.
No. She's like, okay. And I'm like, do you want me to eat them? And she's like, yeah, eat them. And I'm like, I'm warning you. If I eat them, then you're stuck with me for a year. All the grapes that I eat now, you're stuck with me for a year. And she's like, okay, yeah, sure. And I ate the grapes, and then sure enough, we started SavePoint, and now she's part of it. She can't leave now. She's stuck. She's stuck. Yeah, at least for this year, right? So, but yeah, like I want her to feel comfortable with the guys, with everyone. And maybe one day, who knows, like she will open up with the rest of us. But it's a long process, and like I don't want to pressure people to do things that they aren't comfortable with, obviously. But
yeah, it's tricky though, because people are very, very finicky and temperamental. I will say people are temperamental. That's a really good word for people. They are very, very temperamental and so unpredictable in so many ways, because you think you're doing them right. You think you're doing them right, but then you end up doing it all. It's all wrong. It's just all wrong. And that's happened to me before. And I would have never known unless if they vocalize. And then once they are vocal about what's wrong, I take that and I make sure to like be very conscientious about that moving forward. And a lot of the times, like let's say my best friend says like she doesn't like it. So one of the things like, okay, I'm just gonna give a bad example, random example. So let's say like in a relationship, right? Like I've seen a lot of couples who are constantly on their phones, like when they're having dinner and they're not like really engaged in conversation. If someone tells me, if my significant other says, hey, like, I feel like you're really like, we're too delved into our phone, like, and I feel like we're not like connected, right? It is now, he has vocalized and expressed the concern. So now it is on me, you know, to take that responsibility and be like, okay, next time I'm at dinner, I will literally be like, okay, I remember he mentioned last time that he doesn't like it when we're on our phone. So I'm going to deliberately show him I'm putting my phone away and like be engaged in this conversation. So you have to like show, you know, because showing that you're willing to change and take responsibility because you care that much about that person. It's really quintessential in how they will, develop, with your friendships with you or her friendship with you all. So it's tricky. You have to think about so many things, right? There's so many factors into people. They're just freaking temperamental, man. And so difficult to maneuver friendships and relationships in general, relationships with anybody, family, workplace, friendships, intimacy, even your dog. It's just everything has to be earned and communicated, and has to have a solid foundation of trust and all the good stuff. And it's really hard because not everyone's built the same way. Everyone's built just different,
for sure.
So like something that I might be receptive to, you might not be receptive to, which is really annoying sometimes, because you're like, well, if I think this way and I think this is the best way to think, why can't you think that way? But in all our minds, right? To each their own, because whatever you think is best, you're going to think is best. And whatever I think is best, I'm going to think is best. And if I don't think your thing is the best, you're going to get all mad at me, but it's because we agree to disagree, So again, like also having respect for people's opinions are like really, really important. Yeah.
I feel like we learned a lot from each other. I feel like we learned a lot from each other, and I mean, as humans, we're always learning. Yeah. We're every day, day by day, we grow a little bit, and we went on a little tangent, and honestly, it was fun. It was fine, and I feel like this is a good place to end it off.
Yeah.
So yeah, like, where can people find you, Jess?
Oh, where can you find me? Everywhere. So you can find me on Twitch at JessPak. That's JessPak. No C, people. There's no C in my last name. You can also find me on Instagram at Jessica.Pak, because JessPak was taken. And you can find me on Twitter at JessPak_. Just want to give a huge shout out. If you guys don't follow SavePoint, if you don't follow these wholehearted people, please, please, please do. They're amazing. I'm so grateful to you guys for making time on a Friday night to talk to me and get to know me a bit. And anybody watching, I appreciate you guys and value your time so much and your energy into listening and being here and being present. I really appreciate you guys. And the last thing I want to say, I just want to reiterate, everything is going to be okay. It doesn't feel like it right now, but there will be moments and pockets of joy and moments where you feel okay. And when those pockets happen and you feel them and you see them, really hold on to them for as long as you can, because life is meant to challenge you and life is meant to put you through struggles, but you're going to be okay. And also, again, for the 10,000th time on this podcast, please be kind to one another. Please, please, please. We're all going through shit. We're all going through hard times. We don't need any more negativity than what we're already experiencing. So if you have the conscience, like the conscious to choose to be kind, like please, please, please do it. And yeah, I really hope to see you guys in my stream. To all the viewers out there, I really hope to see you. I would love to get to know you. And I want to make sure that you guys feel like you are safe with me. Like, let's get to know each other, but also safe place with SavePoint as well. Awesome, awesome people. And I don't know why you guys want to be on your podcast, but I really appreciate the time and having me on your. This is my first podcast ever in my whole life, and that will always be so special to me. So really, thank you for giving me this opportunity. I appreciate you guys so much, and so much love to you guys and your content, and your stream, and all the SavePoint people.
Honestly, these are the conversations that I live for. And if there's anybody else that would like to be a guest on our podcast, feel free to reach out to us. You don't have to be a streamer. You can just be some random pelado, like some random person. You just want to talk with us or share your experiences, your stories.
It doesn't even have to be on the podcast. If you like, Jess, we're trying to do the same thing. We're trying to be kind to each other, especially since we're all in the same scene, the gaming scene. We're trying to make it better. So yeah, like just hit us up with a message or something, and we're more than welcome to invite you to chat or to play games or whatever.
Love it.
Yeah, JessPak has an awesome community. Her streams are super fun, and she rages a lot. So
yeah, shout out to the Justice League. I love you guys so freaking much, and that includes Stevie, George, and Nick. Love you guys so much, Justice League. You guys are seriously my heart and joy. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Love you guys.
And like always, we'll see you guys at the next SavePoint. See ya.
Bye.
Bye.